This is the story out of Kansas City, Missouri, right? So on September 30th, right, during an altercation with Kansas City, Missouri police, a black woman, a 25-year-old black woman named Deja Stallings, was basically pinned to the ground. Now, this was the kicker about this story, family, is this is a woman who was 9 months pregnant. So feel me when I say this. She's 9 months pregnant. The police, they arrived. I'll get into a little bit what the incident was, but the bottom line was the police had their knee in her back. This is a woman who's 9 months pregnant, right? She's 9 months pregnant. The officer has his knee in her back, arresting her based on some incident that was taking place. Like I said, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But they arrested the young lady. And long story short, she had her baby 2 weeks early, y'all. She had her baby 2 weeks early, and her child, her baby girl, who I'm happy who was actually born, her name is Desiree, and it looks like Desiree went into distress. Her heart rate elevated, right? So she had to be in the intensive care unit. So she's in the intensive care unit right now, based on the incident her mother had to go through with this cop, right? So basically what happened was, and this is as news reports have it, the night of the incident, people were gathering outside of a gas station in downtown Kansas City to commemorate the life of a recent murder victim. So here we go again. Because another news report said the cops came based on an altercation or a fight that was taking place. But at the end of the day, these people were out there protesting another murder that had just taken place, right? So the irony of all of this, right? So they're out there, and the 25-year-old Stallings told Yahoo News that the police came down there twice, harassing us. Then they left and came back again, because they said one man was trespassing. Shortly after the second visit, officers began to break up the crowd and attempted to arrest a man they accused of trespassing, right? So when a situation like that is happening, everybody's running around it, everybody's up in arms, and everybody's a little tense because of the situation. Unfortunately, it seems like police come and they add an already tense situation. It seems like they do a great job of just making the shit worse, right? So they came. Now, like she said, shortly after the second visit, officers began to break up the crowd and attempted to arrest the man they accused of trespassing. During that attempt, Stallings alleged they alleged that she intervened and tried to stop the cop from arresting the other brother, right? And what she says is, she was out there like everybody else trying to record on her phone, because you know our smartphones, our camera is one of the biggest proponents we have right now to defend ourselves against a lot of this fuck shit. So she's out there trying to record when the officer pushed her. Now, when the officer pushed her, she told him, "Don't push me because you don't have the right to push me." He said, "You fucking going to jail." That's when he threw her down on the ground on her stomach and put his knee in her back. So I'm going to read more of what actually happened, family, but it's important that we understand how uncompassionate a lot of these cops are. Now, his sergeant said something like he knew she was pregnant. He tried to put her on her side to make sure it wasn't as bad. The video don't show that. The video don't show that. If you go to melanatedfathers.com, I posted that story on the website. The video don't show that. The video shows he has his knee in her back like he would do anybody in that situation. And again, the amount of aggression that we have to face at the hands of these officers, something has to be done. That's why when people are telling me about the Trump and the Biden thing, yeah, I mean, that's cool, man, but we need to look at the sheriffs that are in place. We need to look at the prosecutors that are in place, because regardless of the president that's in office, this shit ain't gonna stop happening until we start looking at things from a local level. And of course, the unrest and the marching and the protest and like I said, I struggle with whether I think we need to continue with the marching and the protests, just based on the fact that sometimes we're marching and protesting about things that society knows is happening to us: police brutality, criminal justice system. The country understands these things. These things are negatively affecting us. But at the end of the day, anything we can do to cause attention to what's going on with us, I'm with it. I'm just not sure if we should continue to do the marching, but whatever. Anything we can do to cause attention to our problems, I'm with it, right? Now, it's also important to know, because sometimes people hit me when I'm posting these stories and I'm posting my videos about how I feel about certain things. People were hitting me saying these cops aren't racist. This is a one-off. Cops do the same thing to white people. Man, that's bullshit. Because the sister's lawyer, and this is something I wanted to this is something I wanted to read to y'all. The sister's lawyer, her name is Stacy Shaw, right? And Mrs. Shaw says she believes there are deep-rooted issues with the Kansas City Police Department. Said that officers who arrested Stallings is the second officer in the department who has previously killed someone only to be let back into the community to hurt someone else. Now, this is important, family, because when we talk about these cops, the most important thing here is the amount of protection that they actually get. These police unions, this Blue Lives Matter shit, like they protect each other like no gang you ever seen in your life, right? Because what she's saying is the officer Shaw is referencing is Kansas City Police Officer Dylan Pfeiffer, who killed 30-year-old Terrence Bridges, a black man, in May 2019. Pfeiffer was not indicted by a grand jury for the killing. He returned to active duty just 9 days after the shooting. Also, 6 months later, Pfeiffer was involved in an incident in which he was accused of aggressively handcuffing a 15-year-old black teenager and refraining him while his partner, Sergeant Matthew Neal, slammed the boy's face in the ground, breaking his teeth and causing him to need stitches, right? So do you see the pattern here? So we have an officer who obviously has some racial animus. That's how I see it, family. I don't see no other reason why you would treat a human like this, period. If you've been on a job for a long time and now you're desensitized because you've seen all this horrible shit happen, I can understand that. Maybe you need a break, right? Maybe it's time for you to take a leave of absence so you can get your mind right. Go on vacation or something. Begin to humanize yourself so you can see people as just people instead of fucking animals or however you see us. Because obviously it's a black thing. That's what I think. If you look at the FBI, excuse me, and I continue to talk about this, but if you look at the FBI, how they mentioned several times that white supremacist organizations have infiltrated the police departments in the United States, to me, this is just all the more obvious that that's exactly what's going on, right? So let me continue. Now, Shaw identified the officer who arrested Stallings as Blaine Newton, a man Shaw says was responsible for the killing of Donnie Sanders, a 47-year-old black man. In March, Newton was not punished for the shooting and returned to active duty shortly thereafter. Now, this reminds me of kind of like the Daniel Cameron situation, right? I only say that meaning our prosecutors, who we vote in as a prosecutor in our city, in our town, in our state, that's important, y'all. So I think the prosecution, the vote for the prosecutors is like the midterm elections, I think, but we all need to do more and do our due diligence to find out who is the prosecutor in our area and how we can go about making sure the right one get elected in, right? Because at the end of the day, they're responsible for bringing the charges upon these officers. So we need prosecutors who are fair-minded and not racist, right? I think like 95% of prosecutors in the United States are white men, right? So we have a long way to go to creating racial harmony in this world or in this country, but it's important that we continue to call this shit out, family. It's important that we continue to shed light on these incidents so everybody can become mobilized. Because of George Floyd and a lot of the incidents that have happened lately, a lot of black people that I know are more energized about learning about history. They're more energized about learning about the political process. They're just more in tune with what's going on in our community. And that's important because if not, we're going to continue to have these type of incidents. So of course, everybody's looking at this presidential election. And when we talk about Biden or Trump, neither one of these gentlemen will be hard on the police forces. When we look at Trump was mentioning all of the police unions and police organizations that back him. It's like 16, 17 of them, right? So these police unions, they vote as a block. So in order to get their vote, as far as the president is concerned, he's going to do their bidding, man. So it's up to us to keep calling this shit out. It's up to us to be involved in the local elections because what I've read and what I understand about the prosecutors, rarely are they challenged as far as when it's time for them to be elected in, that's not election. That's not the type of election that most cities take real serious or that they publicize a lot like the presidential election.